True lovers, is your soulmate still on their way? Maybe they're stuck in traffic on a spiritual detour guided by a broken GPS that says, you must first love yourself before arrival. Meanwhile, you're here, burning sage and deleting texts you swore you wouldn't send again. Hi, I'm Haim with Be Love Media. And today we'll chat about the juncture between the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching and your love life. I'm passionate about helping true lovers like you bridge the ancient and the intimate, where spiritual depth meets dating reality, one awkward DM at a time. Those of you who know my story know that I have gone through 3 failed marriages, 3 painful divorces, before I found the love of my life and now my wife and best friend, Rachel. I had to go through it, maybe so some of you won't have to. But it's not just about learning lesson so you won't have to go through a first, second, third divorce. It's also for those of you who are considering or already decided to give up on love. Now, if you're on this channel, you probably haven't given up yet. But I bet for some of you, that thought crossed your mind. I have people I know, specifically guys, but also some women that gave up, that said, this is just not for me after what I've been through with so-and-so. And I had people in my life that when I came out of my 3rd painful failed marriage, right before the pandemic of 2020, some of my guy friends said specifically, Haim, marriage is not for you. Just give it up. Don't you dare ever do that again. Now, not everybody has to get married, but what about true love? And I'm not talking about the Hollywood concept. I'm talking about actual, healthy, caring, loving relationship. What about it? Shouldn't everyone have a chance at it, a go at it? Well, I know that when I came out on the other side of that failed 3rd marriage, I knew I have to change something dramatically. I knew that everything I thought I should do in regard to creating a healthy relationship was rooted with the wrong source. That's around the time that I fell in love with the Tao Te Ching, but also had access to other ancient wisdom that are more or less similar ancient age, such as Kabbalah and Buddhism. And I realized that if those ancient wisdoms lasted that long and are all about love, life in general, and marital relationship and love and friendships, they must know something that I can use to attract the next relationship. This time, hopefully, a great one, a healthy one that doesn't make you lose sleep at night. So, this is the Tao Te Ching 81 episode series, where in each episode we take on one verse. Those of you who don't know, the Tao Te Ching is 2,600 years old, was written by Lao Tzu, a Chinese sage, and has phenomenal advice for life in all areas of life, if you just can squeeze out that wisdom juice out of it, because it's written like a poem, so a bit mysterious and mystical. This one is going to be about verse 15 of the Tao Te Ching. So, if you stick around till the end of this video, I promise to give you 3 practical tips for your dating life based on this verse 15. And trust me, they're better than anything you'll get from your cousin who's really good at setting people up. Know what I mean? So before we dive in, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel, especially if your heart deserves a little bit more Tao and a little less chaos. So, here we go. Verse 15. Let's get still for a moment and absorb the mystery of verse 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as a melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? Close quote. So let's fully break this into 5 truths about choosing a romantic partner. Number 1, they were careful as someone crossing an iced over stream. What does that mean for our dating life, for choosing your ultimate soulmate? By the way, Kabbalah says that we all have several soulmates throughout our life, but only one ultimate soulmate. For me, that's my Rachel. So look for someone who moves with intention. In dating, this means they're mindful, not impulsive. They're not jumping into love bombs or disappearing after 3 weeks. They tread gently, aware of the emotional terrain. You see, for me and my Rachel, when we met, middle of 2021, our first phase of our relationship, we dated virtually through video chat. And that's because she was 7,000 miles away in her home country, the old country for her, Malaysia. She originally, she lived on the East Coast for 15 years in East Coast, USA. And I was here in San Diego, West Coast. And at the time, she was caring for her ailing 80-year-old father, rest in peace, for 2 years. She left her life in the US with everything she had. She just got her education. She had her green card taken care of. Here she was trying to cultivate a life in a new country in the US, but her father was ill and she left everything she had, went back home to daddy and took care of him for 2 years. Probably prolonged his life to what could have ended 2 years earlier, according to his doctors. And then we met a couple of weeks before he passed away. I tried my best to comfort her from a distance, from me being in San Diego, her being in the town of next to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and we cultivated this wonderful new connection. And I knew, number 1, according to what she did for her father, how many people do that, right? That was very, very special. That was a sign for me. But the other one is, for the next 3.5 months, we showed up religiously on our video chats, on our video dates. And neither one of us was late. Neither one of us was skipping a meeting. We were reliable. We were faithful to our set appointments, set dates. It was something that clearly represent this specific verse where, neither one of us disappeared after a couple of weeks or for a time and then come back and like, where were you? We didn't have that. We had that loyal showing up. Number 2, alert as a warrior in enemy territory. Choose someone who's emotionally present. We're not talking about paranoia. We're talking about someone who senses energy shifts, notices how you're feeling, and responds with presence instead of avoidance. How many times did you go on dates where you're trying to share a story and then they immediately switch the conversation so it's about them? How many times you're saying something, sharing something with good intention, but it's being misconstrued? Like, you're like, why did they misunderstand what I just said? Or maybe even offended. You're looking for somebody who's paying attention, who's listening, and who is reciprocating either with just stillness, just being with you, and not turning it about something other than what you intended. And if they misunderstood you, they will ask a follow-up question, right? So the same goes for you. The same went for me. right? If I wanted to attract somebody who is as present as Rachel, I had to become that. I had to make sure that I'm heading in that direction and becoming the partner I want to attract. Number 3, courteous as a guest. Kindness is underrated in dating apps. Does your potential partner treat you and everyone around them with consistent respect? How someone behaves when they want something versus when they're comfortable is telling. Seek the ones who stay courteous even when the mask comes off. Do you know anybody that when they needed something from you, they're like all sweet and dandy, and when they don't need anything from you, they're not there, they don't show up? They need you when you need to, when they need help moving, but when you have a similar need, they're just not available. So for me, I had a checklist that I created when I became single again, 2020, in the year of 2020. And it was like, I don't know, 20, 30 items, maybe more. And then I thought to myself, what if I only had one? What if it was just one quality? What would that be? Other than being attracted to them, and having some kind of flow between you guys. But what would that be? And I realized it was kindness, based on Buddhism that preaches for compassion, based on the Tao Te Ching and this verse, based on Kabbalah, which is professing that if you needed to summarize the whole philosophy of Kabbalah and the whole religion of Judaism to one line, the ancient sages said, love thy neighbor, the golden rule. Kindness is key. And it's very easy to see. Selfishness, self-centeredness, you know what I'm talking about. Don't go for that charming person who is super attractive, but then is not present when you need them. 4, receptive as a valley. A good partner listens more than they lecture. Receptivity means emotional openness, not just to their own feelings, but to yours. If you constantly feel like you're too much for someone, they're probably just too shallow to be a valley. What is the idea of a valley? Valley is abundance, is fertile soil that anything great can grow in. It's abundant with water, right? Thirst quenching water, the liquid of life. Such are the people we wanna attract, which means we have to become that. Now, it doesn't mean you become perfect in any way. They don't have to become perfect in any way. We're humans, right? I mean, we have our flaws. But it does mean that you don't tolerate certain things. You don't tolerate rude behavior, especially when you're getting to know each other, but in general. You don't tolerate rude behavior to others. Someone said long time ago, when you are dating, I'm sure you've heard it, when you are dating someone, pay attention how they treat the waiter. I'm sure you heard of it. Well, I got another one for you. Pay attention how they treat the waiter when they spill the soup on them or the coffee. How do they treat someone when that someone messed up? And why is that important? Because if you're going to be their partner, one day that will be you. How will they treat you when you mess up? With compassion, with kindness, or scolding you and with lack of kindness, with crude approach? Number 5, do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Choose someone who values stillness over rushing. If they need instant answers, constant stimulation, or want to define the relationship by the second date, then they might be still in the mud. Wait for clarity, not chemistry alone. Listen, we've all been there, jumping into physical interaction with a new person. It usually doesn't go very well. Some of you might say, oh no, I met my husband and it did go very well. Or imagine how would it be? What kind of foundation the relationship will have if you didn't rush into it, if you just took time to get to know each other. Just food for thought. For me, up until I met Rachel, admittedly, that usually didn't happen. I would jump into a physical interaction with them, they would jump into with me, and it just never really worked out the way we hoped, despite the initial chemistry. With Rachel, we didn't even have a choice in that matter. Why? She was 6,000-7,000 miles away from me. We couldn't interact physically even if we wanted, not even for a cup of tea. So we got to know each other through video chat, and it was mind-blowing. It was so beneficial. By the time we finally met each other in person after 3.5 months, we felt best friends. We felt like so close to each other, even though we have yet to have met each other in person up until that point. How special is that? I know for some of you it's like, I can't fathom that, but something to think about. Whatever your level, wherever you are in the ability to postpone those physical interactions, just get more capable in doing that, whatever that means for you. So here's the sacred snack at the end of this Tao banquet. Your 3 practical tips. Number 1, don't confuse passion with presence. Passion fades, presence deepens. Choose someone who shows up grounded, especially when life gets messy, not just when things are new and exciting. Buddhism says, how do you know that you found the one? Well, it's not enough to look into each other's eyes, implying passion, right? Like, oh my God, she's so beautiful, he's so handsome. It's not enough, the excitement of the beginning. Make sure you also look towards the same direction. What does that mean? That means you have similar values, similar spiritual philosophy towards life, similar purpose in your life, right? For some people, it means they are from the same background, same religion, and they want to do good within that religion. For me and Rachel, we did not come from the same religion, but we both adored the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching. She happens to be of Chinese descent, so that means that we had similar view of how life should be and how should one go about life, doing good in the world and being compassionate and embracing kindness, including self-kindness, kindness to self. Number 2, observe how they hold space, not just how they take up space. Do they know when to speak and when to hold silence? True connection lives in the quiet moments, not just the clever ones. When I met my previous wife, it was around 2009. We went on one of our first dates, just took a walk in the area. It was a beautiful area in Orange County, California, and by a bay. And I noticed, oh my God, for the last 15 minutes, she was talking straight up without me squeezing even a word. Now, I could be a talker too, but I noticed that at the time I thought it was cute. At the time I thought it was fun, right? Now, nothing wrong with that. But when the other person lacks the ability to take breaks in between phrases and allow you to chime in or ask about you being interested in you, that's something to watch out for. Can you do that? Or are you also, like I used to be, I can talk for an hour nonstop. In fact, my mom is like that too. So I guess we have it in our genes. But it doesn't mean we can't morph. It doesn't mean we can't change and improve so that we are able to take in other people and hold sacred space for others. Very important, especially for a long-term relationship. Number 3, practice stillness before commitment. Before jumping in, pause. Let your own mud settle. If you're choosing from anxiety, loneliness, or fantasy, you're not seeing clearly. The Tao says, wait. The water will clear. And that's not just into jumping into a serious relationship when you started dating. That's also jumping into a physical commitment, right? When you jump in between the sheets. Once you do that, you don't see clearly anymore. Then passion kicks in, physical excitement kicks in, sensuality, which is a wonderful thing in a relationship. But when you're interviewing somebody to be your potential life partner, you gotta watch it before you make commitment based on just something physical. So, true lovers, if this resonated, if it made you think, laugh, or question why your last date brought their ex's dog to brunch, then you know what to do. Like this video. Comment below with your favorite quote from verse 15 or your wildest dating story. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more Taoist takes on modern love. Because here at Be Love Media, we're not just matchmaking. We're matching energy with ancient wisdom. Stay fluid, stay receptive, And may your next date be as courteous as a guest, and not someone who orders for you and calls it confident. See you next time, true lovers.